We are here with Greg Carlin, who is CEO of Rush Street Gaming and the soon-to-be public Rush Street Interactive. Greg, this is 2020, so we have to talk about COVID first before we get into Rush Street. How is COVID playing out with your companies, and how do you see it playing out near and midterm for them and for the industry?
Sure. Well, first off, this is really the largest worldwide disaster that we've had in a century. And our hearts really go out to everybody who's been impacted. There's been so many people that have been negatively impacted around the world. But as far as it impacts business, also it's really impacted every major industry in different ways. Some positive, some negative. I mean, it's, in many respects, it's been an accelerant of trends that were already really starting or in place. When we look at the gaming industry, we really need to break it up into different subsectors because it's really impacting each sector a little bit differently. We'll start with the online casino space. For online gaming, it's actually been, online casino in particular, it's actually been a positive, primarily for two reasons. If you look at our revenue numbers in Pennsylvania, our online casino revenue numbers in Pennsylvania in January, and you compare that to, say, April, May, and June, you'll see literally a tripling in revenue from January to June. And we all know why that the main reason bricks and mortar casinos shut down in March, and so a lot of folks were looking for things to do. They were at home, so we really saw a big pickup in the online casino business where it's legal. It wasn't quite as big a jump in New Jersey, but because it's a more mature market, but it was still a very large jump. If you look at online sportsbook, it was interesting. A lot of sports were shut down, but I was really surprised to see how many folks were betting on Russian table tennis, which was really one of the only sports that was operating at the time. And I also think for online gaming and sports betting, the whole pandemic has probably accelerated the trend to legalization. I think you're seeing sports betting getting legalized around the country in different states. I think that's probably sped up, and certainly casino should speed up as well. I think a lot of states have legalized sports betting first, and now they're seeing the casino actually generates significantly more revenue than sports betting. And so if you look at a state like West Virginia, they legalized sports betting, and then about a year later legalized casino. If you look at Michigan, Michigan legalized both casino and sports betting at the same time. So I think you'll see more states legalizing casinos, online casino, in the near future. As far as the regional casinos, which is where our bricks and mortar business operates, it's really performed much better than I expected it to post opening. Just as an example, Boyd reported their earnings last night for the third quarter, and while their revenue was down about 20%, their EBITDA was actually up over the third quarter last year. And that's we've experienced a similar phenomenon at our properties, and I know other companies, gaming companies, have as well with regional casinos. Basically, you've seen a drop in revenue. It varies by property for us, but 20% is probably a good average. But yet our margins are up substantially because we're running with less food and beverage. We don't have valet. We've just taken a lot of cost out of the business. So the big question is what will happen in the future. I think that people was a lot of pent-up demand. If you think about people are home, people aren't spending money on things like clothing, they're not going to ball games or movies, so there's not a whole lot of things people can do. So I think people are looking for activities and things. Going to a casino is top of the list. I feel that casinos also are extremely safe. I mean, I've been going to our casinos. We put terrific, great protocols in place, COVID protocols. Throughout the entire business, we upgraded our air filtration systems. We are requiring guests to wear masks. I think the few team members we have had get COVID, I think all we can trace it to doing things outside of work, either going to bars with friends or going to family outings. I really do feel like the casinos are safe. So hopefully the trend will continue with the regional casinos.
Good. Talking about your regional casinos, Rush Street Gaming has 4 regional casinos. You're applying for a second Chicago area license. How do you think Rush Street Gaming will evolve, and will you someday be a public company?
No, that's a good question, Frank. We get asked that often. But I think to understand or to think about before talking about the future, you really need to understand the history of our company. Just to give you a real quick history. Um, we started our Rush Street Gaming, the U.S. business. Our first casino, we opened in 2008. That was in Vicksburg, Mississippi. So Neil, our chairman and my boss, he's got a long history in real estate development. And so one of our core competencies is winning RFPs and developing mixed use real estate projects. So we've actually developed all our properties. I mean, I think we're unique in the casino industry in that we haven't bought any casinos. So our first casino was Mississippi, 2008. That's Vicksburg. In 2009, we opened a property in Pittsburgh. In 2010, we opened a property in Philadelphia. In 2011, we opened our property in Des Plaines near O'Hare Airport. And that was quite a stretch of 4 properties. And then it took us all the way till 2017 before we opened our next property, which was in Schenectady, New York. I think if you look at the country, there's just less opportunities. And so, we're certainly interested in building more casinos, but it's really opportunistic. We don't want to build just to build. We're really looking to make, good returns on our capital and good investments. And so, as you mentioned, we currently have a proposal pending in Waukegan, which is north of Chicago. But we also are waiting on a referendum on Tuesday in Portsmouth, Virginia, for one of the licenses in Virginia. So hopefully we'll get some good news on Wednesday in Virginia, and hopefully we'll hear from the gaming board soon as far as Waukegan's concerned.
Okay, great. Now on to what everybody's excited about, which is Rush Street Interactive. You are taking your interactive business public. And tell us a little bit about Rush Street Interactive and why you've chosen to take it public.
Well, so we back in December or so, I talked to Neil about the fact that we were growing really fast, and we had a bunch of new market opportunities, and we really needed to invest some significant capital in the business, to continue to maintain our growth, and at the time, markets were looking good, and so we decided to hire a banker to raise some outside capital. We looked at a lot of different options. We looked at raising some private funds. We looked at potentially doing an IPO. Ultimately, we settled on merging with a SPAC. For a few reasons. This is now going to April. The IPO market was basically shut. We talked to some bankers, and they thought not a good time for an IPO. We got introduced to DMY Technology principals, Harry Yu and Nicola Damasi, and just really hit it off with them. Nicola's got some experience in the free-to-play game space. Harry has been a CFO of major companies, Accenture and Oracle, and the chemistry was right, and everything sort of lined up, and so we decided to merge into their SPAC.
If Rush Street were a prize fighter, we would say you punch above your weight. In that your market share tends to be greater than the size of your operation relative to the market as a whole. And you have very low player acquisition costs. It's 26% of revenue. How do you achieve those results?
Well, it's really a combination of many factors, I think. Just a few of them. We were early to launch our business. I think, plus the fact that we have, the bricks and mortar casinos in our DNA. I mean, I think we really understand the casino customer. But when I went over to ICE in 2012, and we decided to move to launch an online business, I think most of the bricks and mortar folks thought we were a little crazy, didn't understand what we were doing, and we probably were a little crazy. I mean, it was certainly really early. Sports betting didn't become legal till May of 2018, and online gaming got off to a really slow start. New Jersey certainly being a pioneer, and New Jersey being the most mature market. But I think early to launch our business and having the DNA and bricks and mortar were critical to our success. We also really have a very deep bench of talented executives. Starting with my co-founder Richard Schwartz. Richard's a true visionary. He came from WMS Gaming, and he ran their jackpot party online casino in the UK, and he's really, he understands the casino player in the game, and he's, we've really we've translated that with having our own technology and building a great casino engine, online casino engine with lots of proprietary features that casino players like. I think that's really important, understanding the casino customer and what they want in a gaming experience.
As we go forward and more states legalize, there's more opportunity, but also there's ever more competition. And some of these competitors are huge corporations compared to other gaming corporations with databases of tens of millions of players. How do you maintain that share or compete against such big competitors?
No, that's a great question, Frank. So, look, it's already a very highly competitive market. I mean, just look at New Jersey. Right now in New Jersey, there's 20 online casinos and 20 online sports books operating. And, I think there's going to be a few more folks joining the fray soon enough. So, what I'd say, it's really a couple things. I mean, we there's not one specific thing we're doing, but, to date, we built our business with about 50 million of investment from me and Neil. When we close the transaction, we're going to have 230 million of cash on our balance sheet, which is a significant jump up. While we're not planning to go crazy with the cash, certainly we're going to have more money to, invest in our existing. We think that our return on marketing is really high, as you mentioned. So there's really room for us to increase our spend in existing markets. We plan on launching, competitively in new markets, and we also plan on building out our teams. I mean, we've got our technology folks are in Estonia. We're going to add to our engineers. We've got customer service folks in New Jersey. We need to grow that. We got marketing folks all over the country. We're going to grow that, and then really just doing what we're doing. And I think we haven't done a big media deal. We've looked at a bunch of different ones, but we think it's more important to spread our marketing expense over multiple channels. I'm not sure which is the right channel. They're all important together, and so we're constantly evolving and tweaking. Our digital strategy, our traditional media strategy. Radio has been important for us. I mean, radio has been a good source of customers, believe it or not. Some like sports radio, either local sports radio or recent. So it's really just a combination of things, and blocking and tackling, and being methodical.
While we're all excited about the United States, and you guys on your website in your investor presentation do a good job of projecting potential market size and EBITDA impact on Rush Street Interactive. And I know you've come up with a range of maybe 368 million to about 550 million in EBITDA impact, assuming those legalizations happen throughout the country. But you also have international operations, and there's a world beyond the United States. Can you tell us a little bit about your operations, and in Colombia, I think they are, and what your plan is for the future?
Sure. So we're currently operating in Colombia. I think we're number 3 in that market, actually. And the reason we picked Colombia is twofold. First, they legalized online gaming, I think back in early 2018 or late 2017. A favorable tax rate, good regulatory structure, and at the time, sports betting wasn't even legal in the U.S. And we thought, hey, wouldn't it be great to test our product in a market like Colombia before sports betting launches in the U.S. And so it was really sort of like, well, this will be a good, testing ground for our product. But number 2, we looked at South America and Latin America, and if you look at that market, it's much less competitive than Europe is, as far as number of operators and the markets. And if you look at the populations, they're huge. I mean, Colombia alone has 50 million people. Brazil has 212 million people, Mexico 126 million people, Argentina 45 million. I mean, these are big countries, and Mexico has a market already, online casino market. Argentina recently legalized it, and Brazil is working on it. So we just think it's a natural extension for us. Outside of the U.S., we just think it's a good market for us to pursue. And right now it's pretty small. It's about 5% of our business roughly, but that's a growing share, and our market share is growing in Colombia as well. So.
Okay, great. You had touched upon earlier, Greg, your proprietary platform, and a lot of companies are contracting out with other providers of technology, but you've developed your own, and you think that's a competitive advantage. Could you elaborate on that?
Sure. No, we do indeed. When it's funny, when we started the business back in 2012, Richard and I, Richard mostly, but because he's got the tech background, we really obsessed over what we were going to use for a platform. I mean, he must have diligenced 30 different platforms. And we looked at all kinds of things from licensing a third party, partnering with someone who owned technology, building our own technology. Ultimately, we decided to build our own technology. We actually bought some code from a small company that we thought had really good potential, and then hired the CTO and their team, grew it from there. But it was a risky decision at the time. I was definitely very nervous. It's harder than it looks to get everything right and to build it. There's a lot of moving pieces, but I do think it was ultimately it turned out to be a good decision, and for two primary reasons. We built in some proprietary functionality. Mentioned earlier how we understand the casino customer. We've got a bonusing engine that casino players really like. We've got a store, that people can trade their points in for different things, scratch cards, and we can even give promotions to the bricks and mortar casinos, which we do, and we sort of gamified the whole bonusing experience. So instead of just like sending someone some free play, they're able to do different things, and the players seem to love it. We have a chat room which makes it a social experience for players, and I like to monitor the chat room occasionally, see what people are saying. We've got our own payments engine, which we're paying people quicker. One of the, if you survey online casino customers, one of the things that's really important is getting your money fast. And so because we have our own technology, we're able to build a payments engine that we basically run an algorithm, and most people get paid immediately. So we'll advance the money even though maybe the bank hasn't even approved it yet. So just think little things like that, a whole series of them, I think really give us a great player experience. And then the number two is really speed to market. Because we control our technology stack, we can work with, when a new market opens, each regulatory agency has their own reports that they want and their own information that they want. So we're able to quickly make modifications to the platform. If you have a third-party platform, you got to get in line with the development line, and they have a whole list of priorities, not just other customers. So I think we're able to adopt our platform for each new market quicker, and opening first is we think has been a huge advantage for us. So
very interesting. We've covered a lot of ground in a short period of time, Greg. Just two quick questions at the end. Number one, what is the timing on going public?
Mm-hmm.
And the second is, what key points do you most want investors to understand?
Sure. So we filed our proxy, which is one of the key milestones for going public. We filed on October 9th, and the SEC has 30 days to give us comments. And hopefully there won't be too many comments. We'll have to see, but we'll respond to the comments. Once the SEC signs off on our proxy, we can have a shareholder vote. And we're targeting early December for that. I mean, it may slip to the second week in December, but so hopefully early December is the plan to close. And then just some high level points about RSI. I mean, it really feels to me like the early days of bricks and mortar expansion. I mean, if you go back to 1990 and you look at how quickly the bricks and mortar casinos were legalized in states, it feels like we're in a similar trend now. And it's just, there's going to be huge market growth over the next 10 years. I mean, you look at New Jersey, casino only is almost $1 billion a year run rate. Pennsylvania not far behind that. Those are just the two states. Michigan's launching later this year, so there's just a huge growth opportunity ahead of us. And I think we're really well positioned. Per Eilers-Fantini, who we think puts out really good industry information, we're number one in online casino. And we achieved that position with $50 million investment. As I mentioned earlier, after our close, we're going to have $230 million of cash on our balance sheet. It's really going to allow us to invest more in our existing markets, launch new markets, and really grow our currently outstanding team. So we're really bullish about the future.
Okay, great. Very interesting, very informative. Thank you, Greg.
Frank, thanks for having me.